This episode of the ResortLoop.com podcast is brought to you by Joffrey's Coffee and Tea Company. Joffrey's is proud to be the official specialty coffee of Disney. Enjoy drinks and pastries at Joffrey's kiosks throughout the parks and check out the Disney Specialty Coffee Collection only at Joffreys.com.
Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is our final boarding call, and the doors will be closing soon.
Hey everybody, thanks for joining us. This is ResortLoop.com. I'm Tim Scott.
I'm Bob Collar.
This is episode 206er.
206.
Yes.
You know, I like to start off with the this day in Disney history.
Yes, you do.
Not a whole lot happened.
And that's it. That's the show. Everybody can find me at Twitter.
But this is going to be kind of a history show. So
I know. I'm very excited about this show.
Yeah.
You know how big of a fan I am of this topic.
I do know that. But before we get started, real quick, we got to let remind everybody about their Joffrey's Coffee and Tea Company code of 20% off, Tim.
Make sure you take advantage of this because this is one of the best deals they got going. This is on anything there at the Joffreys.com website.
Absolutely. And even if you're not a coffee drinker, if you're just a tea drinker, their tea is fantastic. I've had it, and it's very good. I am currently sipping on the Indonesia Flores, their new quarterly coffee.
Yes.
Single origin, syrupy body with dark chocolate notes and dark berry undertones.
Oh, it's fantastic. And once again, once those are gone, they're gone. So
yes.
In limited supply by now.
Yes. And of course, all their wonderful Disney blends, fantastic Disney blends there. We got the picture from Disney Chicago.
Oh, he went to town.
He got all Disney blends and some good ones.
Yes, he did.
So
Victoria and Albert's fantastic.
Absolutely. And what is that? What is that code again, Tim?
The code is single word Looper.
So
yes.
Just type that in the promo code and get 20% off and free shipping with a $50 purchase or more from our good pals Joffrey's Coffee and Tea Company out of beautiful Tampa, Florida.
Oh, that sounds good right now. It's a little cold again today. It teased us yesterday. It was 70 when I woke up, and now it's raining and barely 50, I think. I
was out with a golf shirt on, and I could have used a light jacket. It's still not quite that warm yet. So Tim.
Yes, Bob.
What are we going to talk about today?
Today we are going to talk about one of my favorite topics. You've done some homework on this, Bob. I'm very excited. We're going to talk about the Disney Renaissance.
What?
Not just the first one, the second one that we're in the midst of.
Who calls it the Disney Renaissance?
Anybody who's anybody calls it the Disney Renaissance. I'm banging on the table.
Who started calling it the Disney Renaissance?
Well, I'd like to think it's me, but I don't know.
Absolutely, it was you, yes.
At least for the new one.
We were too young for the old one.
That's true.
You were too. I was still old. You were too young.
Yeah, you were ancient, but that's okay. No.
One, so.
No, this is a very good show. I'm very excited.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a history, little background, and please don't, all you true Disney history buffs, don't. If I miss a date here or there, or skip over something, don't beat me up too bad.
This is our Cliff Notes version. For those of you who don't know, the Cliff Notes goes way back before what we like to call the Google. When you didn't want to read the whole book, you bought something called the Cliff Notes.
What are books?
I know.
Oh, you mean that thing on my Kindle?
This is ancient on so many different levels.
Man, isn't that the truth? Oh my goodness gracious! So let's just kind of go over real quick a little bit of Disney history, and then we'll get into the meat of the Renaissances. Of course, back in Walt started the company, and then back in 1966, Walt died. So that was going to be kind of where the company needed direction. And unfortunately, not too long after that, back in 71, after Walt Disney World was opened, Roy also passed away. So now you have the two guys who founded the company that aren't there, and not quite sure how the company is going to continue.
Yes.
Luckily, Roy E. Disney, Walt's nephew, Roy's son, stayed with the company, was with the company, and helped it limp along with the loss of the two. But even then, in 1977, Roy saw something that he didn't really care for in what was going on with the Disney company. And in 1977, he resigned. Kind of stayed involved a little bit, but he was not happy with the overall product quality, as well as with some other things, including the management at that time of what they were planning. So this leads up to then 1982, almost 10 years after Roy had passed away. Most people don't remember this, but the Coca-Cola company tried to buy out the Disney company.
Oh, that is old school. Yes.
In 1982. So this is when the company was really in that crazy state of flux where all of the wolves of Wall Street, if you will, saw a limping, wounded animal, if you will, and they were going after Disney with everything they could, not just Coca-Cola, but a bunch of different companies, and they were going to break it up. So there was a good chance that the company we see today would not have existed. Had it not been for Roy getting involved back in 1984. Now, in between there, Epcot opened, and in 1982 and 1983, Tokyo Disneyland opened. So the company was still trying to limp along and grow, but it was really short of cash. They had spent so much money in building Epcot, so much money building Tokyo Disneyland, that they were primed for a takeover. But then Roy took over, got involved, not really took over, but got involved in 1984. And him and his partner, his business partner, got back into the Disney company and said, look, we have got to get rid of Ron Miller, who, no offense to Ron, but he just wasn't a businessman. And so they got rid of Ron Miller and of course, replaced him with Michael Eisner and Frank Wells. Mm-hmm. And that was the start of that first Disney Renaissance, without the two iconic founders of the company.
Right.
So Eisner's vision was, we're going to build. We're going to build and we're going to animate. So if you remember, Tim, Eisner wanted a feature-length movie, animated movie, every year.
Yes, he did.
Little bit too much to ask for, because it's tough. It's tough to make a really, really good movie in that short amount of time. So you had that, but he did. I mean, we had some great movies. You had Little Mermaid. You got Lion King.
There are classics in there.
Aladdin. I mean, some just phenomenal movies. He also built all the resorts, all those hotels that we love to stay at. He built Disney MGM Studios in cooperation with MGM back in 1989. Euro Disneyland, which is now, of course, Disneyland Paris, 1992. And if you remember, one of the things that he was criticized about was the castle is actually made out of stone. It's not a faux castle. Because he said the French are not going to accept a fake castle, so we're going to build a real one.
Wow!
So
those French.
So Eisner had no problem, digging into the wallet to make this stuff happen. But it was so successful,
right?
And he had, at that time, a lot of Disney historians will point to the reason he was as good as he was at that time was because he had Frank Wells with him. And Frank Wells was helping him create that first Renaissance. Of course, then in 1994, Frank Wells died in a helicopter crash.
I remember.
So that's when Eisner kind of started to change, and it became more about everything he wanted.
Yeah.
Now, they built the Animal Kingdom, which a lot of people criticized and said, not a good idea. We don't want a zoo. So he got a lot of heat for that, but that's what he wanted. He said, because Walt liked animals, we should build an animal park. So they built Animal Kingdom. Very, very expensive, very costly.
That was way over budget too, from what I remember.
Right. And it's just so big. Takes up such a big footprint over there. But then on the other hand, the Disney Cruise Line starts, and the Disney Magic set sail in 98 as well. Then in 99, the Wonder set sail. So now you got those two ships that are going great. One of the most brilliant things that Eisner did, looking back now, armchair quarterbacking, was in 2000, he hires Bob Iger as the president. Now, Eisner is the CEO, but Bob Iger becomes president of the Disney company. So now you've got both of them working together, working for the company, and Iger kind of learning what the company's all about, which is phenomenal. In 2001, Disney's California Adventure opens up. Again, kind of criticized Eisner. A lot of people criticized Eisner because they said, why would people from California want to come and see what's
in California?
Right. Right. But then on the other side of the planet, just about, he opens Tokyo Disney Sea. So he's having these events where he's criticized on one hand and then praised on the other hand for all these great things he does.
Right.
So then in 2003, Roy, who was involved in the company, he was on the board of directors, he resigns again. He says the company's going in the wrong direction. We're spending way too much money. And he cites that Michael Eisner was not the guy who should be in charge anymore. And he leaves the Disney company and starts that group, you remember, Tim, Save Disney.
Yes.
To put pressure on Eisner to resign.
Yep, he wanted him out.
And finally, after 2 years, that pressure, and I'll be honest, I was one that signed the petition. That pressure put on Eisner made him finally resign in 2005. So then Bob Iger replaces Eisner, and that was in 2005. In 2006, this is where then Iger takes over, and Iger has the second renaissance, because Iger purchases Pixar in 2006.
Yes.
Gets Oswald the Lucky Rabbit back.
Oh, and that great deal. Yes.
Acquires Marvel in 2009. Launches 2 more cruise ships in 2011 and 2012. And in 2012, acquires Lucasfilms. So that's the second Disney Renaissance.
Yeah, and we're only beginning to see the beginning of that renaissance of all the moves he's made. Absolutely.
And so you've got the first one where Eisner built all of the stuff that we enjoy today. And then the second one where Iger is purchasing all these properties that is making the company, I know for a fact, and we joke about this, but I do have a little bit, and I do emphasize a little bit, of Disney stock. I have watched that stock triple since Iger has been CEO of the company.
Oh, yeah. Has that split for you once or twice also?
It has not split.
Oh, okay. I thought it had split. Maybe it was before.
Rumors right now are that it's getting ready to split. But it is, those purchases have launched the company in a completely new direction. And we've talked about this at work. We've got a friend who would have no desire to go to Disney. Ever.
None. Yes.
None. He's a single guy. He has never been married, doesn't have any kids. He's just a regular guy that doesn't want to get into that whole kids thing. But now he's talking about going.
Right.
Because
Star Wars.
He wants to go to Star Wars land.
Yep.
Look at all those people that go for Star Wars weekends.
Oh, it's incredible.
The Flower and Garden brings a lot of people that don't have kids. The Food and Wine brings a lot of people. Don't have kids. My opinion is Eisner built up the family part of it, where Iger has built up the business end of it and has brought in new guests.
Right. Well, they each appear to have done what they had to do at that time.
Right.
Because Eisner didn't. Well, he had a lot of money to work with. He didn't have the kind of money they have now to just acquire all these properties.
Right. Right.
Because Eisner was trying for a while to get. I wanted to call him Toy Story to get Pixar.
Right. Right.
And different reasons there. They just didn't quite mesh personality wise, so the price just kept going up and up.
Right. Yeah. When you're dealing with two personalities like Michael Eisner and Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but look, I mean, would Iger have been able to do all of the things that he has done up to this point without all of the things that Eisner did?
I don't think so, because Iger doesn't appear to have quite the ego that Eisner had.
Right.
And a lot of those projects, like I'm going to say, like the whole Echo Lake area, Eisner is probably the only guy who could have made that happen.
Right. Right.
Bringing in the Swan and the Dolphin and Michael Graves to design them, and the Beach Club and the Boardwalk. That's all Eisner.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, well, the whole thought process of if we can get people on property and keep them there, they're going to spend all of their vacation dollars with us. That was all Eisner.
Yes.
So, yeah, I mean, and then building the other parks other than, and a lot of people enjoy Animal Kingdom, don't get me wrong, but he was so highly criticized for that.
Right.
And a lot of people, Disney fans, they wanted that, what was it, the Kingdom, the Villain's Kingdom or whatever.
Oh, Beastly Kingdom.
Beastly Kingdom.
Yes.
Yes. So he had some missteps there, but as has Iger.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, really, the whole Avatar thing, he's been highly criticized about that when they had so many great products that they could have put in Animal Kingdom as opposed to something from someone else.
What's what Eisner is? Because Eisner, well, I think they both came from movies, or did Iger come from just ABC? I'm trying to recall.
I'm not sure.
I know Eisner came from Paramount, so his big thing was movies,
Right.
and he was a fan of the parks.
Right.
And he was trying to build up the movies, I think, to develop content for the parks.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
you can't, if you figure if you come out with a big animated movie every year, you're going to have content for your parks.
Right.
Oh, you remember, what was it, mid-'80s? One of his big, I think the first things he might have done was sign Bette Midler. It's like a 3 or a 4 picture deal, and that was huge. That was a huge deal then.
That was a very big deal.
And what were her movie? I'd have to look it up, but it was Big Business was one of them. And that's why she did that the lottery movie on the MGM backlot.
Right. Yeah.
So he was initially attacking things from the movie side of things.
Right. Well, and he brought in Ellen DeGeneres, who was doing that TV show, comedian, and she's still in the parks today.
Yeah, he did love the parks, though. I mean, he did love the parks more than most CAOs do.
Right. Yeah, I just looked up. You're right. Iger came from ABC as well, so
Okay.
they worked together at ABC. That's how he brought him in. Yeah.
But Iger he's buying prime properties that can go right in the park immediately.
Right.
I mean, in the parks. I mean, because Marvel, well, it can't go in Disney World yet. Although I still think a check's coming. I got to believe there's going to be a check at some point down the road or an agreement.
Yeah.
But Disneyland, Shanghai, all those are going to have just major Marvel properties in there.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. They're going to. Well, I mean, he didn't buy all of those properties for nothing.
No, he didn't buy them just for movies.
Right. But again, like you said, with Eisner, he was the movies were important in then putting things into the park. With Iger, the movies are important in providing the money to now start that whole renaissance that we're seeing in the parks with the massive construction everywhere.
Yes.
So both of them just the mesh was there to put those two guys into the Disney company at the perfect time. And I really, again, my personal opinion is that was all Roy Disney, nephew of Walt and son of Roy.
Mm-hmm.
I think he saw something in Eisner that he knew that it was going to work, and it sure did. It sure did.
Oh, absolutely. I think he knew he needed somebody with an ego in there to just grab and go.
Right.
He was going to make it happen, whether it was right or it was wrong. Somebody who's going to make the decisions that had to be made.
Right. So those are the two big Disney renaissance of our lifetime. We weren't around for the original one, unfortunately.
No.
But I like the fact that Iger, even though he's going to be stepping down here pretty soon, he's tapped your boy Tommy for
Tom Staggs. He's in the bullpen warming up.
Absolutely. And because of that, I think we're going to see a continuation of this renaissance. I think Disney is going to continue going strong for decades to come, because I think Tom is the perfect fit. Out of the those three guys, I think are going to really continue to push Disney for decades to come. I really do.
Like any company, it needs a good leader.
Absolutely.
Someone's got to be out there and do what they have to do.
And I think that whole transition after Walt passed away, I mean, we've all read the history of Disney. There was so much confusion. What do we do? Do we continue to build this park in Florida? And finally they said, yes, let's continue to build. That's what Walt wanted. And then they said, well, Walt wanted Epcot. Let's build Epcot. And they built Epcot not the way he would have wanted it. But they built it, and we love it. It's a wonderful property,
right?
But it was so difficult because everybody wanted to be Walt, but nobody could be Walt, and it was so hard for them to run the company between the 70s and mid 80s, and think about what could have happened had any one of those entities that were trying to take over the company had they succeded.
Yeah,
we wouldn't be doing this.
No,
so
I don't think
there'd
we
be no Looper Nation.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah,
let's not even talk about that. Those would be dark days.
dark days. We'd be talking to just me and you.
That's right. It'd be the Dark Ages, not the Renaissance.
No, the plague's coming back.
Oh, and I talked to you for plenty. I've talked to you for years. No, come on.
And got nothing out of it.
That's true.
Sadly,
oh, my gosh.
You've got nothing out of it.
Oh, brother. Now I know how your wife feels.
Can't wait to see what's coming down the road with Disney, with Pixar. We've already talked to the folks over at Pixar. They say there's some fantastic things coming.
Oh, yeah.
Can't wait to see what they're going to do with Marvel. You're already seeing some Marvel stuff and some Star Wars stuff on the cruise ships.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Can't wait to see that, and really can't wait to see what they do with all of the Lucas properties, Indiana Jones and all the Star Wars stuff. It's going to be just very, very exciting. And they've still got plenty of land.
Oh, they do. In
Florida to do all kinds of stuff. So
it's exciting to be living during a renaissance.
So, Tim, that's all I have I have to speak more properly because this is a history lesson today.
Quite. You can take your monocle out now and we will now end the show. Bob, thanks for all your research. That is awesome. Everybody, thanks for joining us. I'm Tim Scott. You can find me on Twitter at ResortLoop.Tim. I have the Facebook, Tim Resort Loop Scott, and we have that website, ResortLoop.com.
I'm Resort Loop Bob on the Twitter and Instagram. Don't forget Facebook /Resort Loop and rate us on iTunes. Where else can they listen, Tim?
You can always find us on the Stitcher. Everybody, you've been listening to the Gateway to the Magic.
See you, everybody.